Let's talk about birds.
Birdman, hello?
With thousands of species of birds, it's no surprise that their symbolism varies widely, including on The Sopranos. In Tony Soprano's case, one particular bird, the duck, represents family, or more specifically, Tony's fear of losing his family, like he loses the ducks when they get big enough to fly away from his pool. But like I said, there are plenty of other species of birds of all different shapes, sizes, and temperaments. In the very first episode of The Sopranos, Tony tells Dr. Melfi about a dream he has where a bird flies off with his penis. Instead of bringing up the ducks right away, when Dr. Melfi asks Tony what kind of bird flew off with it, his first few guesses include a seagull, the movie The Birds, a flamingo, a pelican, and then finally, Dr. Melfi draws his attention to his favorite bird as of late.
And, I'm holding it up, and this bird swoops down and grabs it in its beak and flies off with it. I saw The Birds last week on cable. You think maybe that planted the idea?
The Birds is a 1963 horror film directed by Alfred Hitchcock that centers on sudden, unexplained, violent bird attacks.
Now, do I mean that organized crime is just going to pack its bags voluntarily and go the way of the dodo bird?
We hear about the extinct dodo bird, mentioned in 46 Long, which makes me think of survival of the fittest in terms of who lasts until the end of the show versus who gets whacked.
Do I look like the friggin' thorn bird over here?
The Thornbirds is about a priest forced to make a choice between his feelings for a young girl and his ambitions.
Do you know in its lifetime the average American chicken's feet never even touch the ground?
I suppose those chickens didn't get in on the ground floor. Tony can relate. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? We certainly find many of those on The Sopranos.
Is it Meadow? She eats like a bird.
Another example. We often associate chickens with cowardice, foolishness, and anxiety, but chickens can also be valuable. That's why we hear phrases like, "Don't count your chickens until they hatch." And we sure hear about a lot of chickens on The Sopranos.
Nowhere to be bloody found, anywhere in Chicken Town.
Of course, one of the more memorable Sopranos birds is the crow. The crow, along with other similar birds like the raven, have typically been associated with bad omens, death, and doom, like the one that shows up on the windowsill during Christopher and Eugene's making ceremony. But, according to Adriana, the bird thing is if it's in the house, flapping around, and that's death, not bad luck. It was that bird. It was that bird in the window. But it's not just The Sopranos. Some of our other HBO friends have dealt with the same thing.
Found it outside dead under the window.
Well, through the window.
Water fresh. You keeping them cool? You got squeakers nesting squabs.
If a bird taps on the window or crashes into one, that means that there has been a death.
We know there's been a death.
We know now, but that bird crashed into the window and died a while ago.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Ben Kingsley.
Goodness.
You know what they say? Fuck that fucking parakeet. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Polly who says that.
I didn't need that shit that happened the other day.
You don't need that shit that happened the other day.
Then he almost drowned in 3 inches of water.
Remember the Penguin movie? How you cried? You sit on an egg for months, one little thing goes wrong, you're left with nothing.
While they're flightless, penguins are adapted to move quickly in the water, in which their wings or flippers are used to propel them. But on land, they're much more awkward in terms of walking and moving. Speaking of penguins, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up another show that makes me think of The Sopranos a little bit. The Penguin. One of the show's biggest players, Sophia Falcone, played by Kristen Milioti, actually played the role of Catherine Sacramone on The Sopranos. We only saw her a couple of times. You may recall her comment, "Can anybody in this family ever talk about anything besides food?" Well, let's talk about the hawk. Artie compares Tony to a hawk when he tells Tony in the hospital, "You knew exactly what was going to happen. You can see 20 moves ahead."
Please, I don't blame you. I envy you. It's like an instinct, like a hawk sees a little mouse moving around a cornfield from a mile up.
Like a hawk sees a little mouse in the middle of a cornfield a mile up. Oh, that's right, the bird feeder.
40 grand from the bird feeder.
Bird feeder, listen to yourself. You sound demented.
At the end of the episode, Eloise, Carmela and Meadow just had an argument, and Carmela's feeling very down after Furio's sudden disappearance. So between that and her argument with Meadow and her chronic frustration with Tony, she's not feeling very well. And Tony tries to comfort her by telling her that things will blow over with Meadow and that she should be proud of the woman that Meadow's growing up to be. And I think that it unfortunately makes Carmela feel even worse, because that may be what Carmela wanted for herself.
She can do whatever she wants. Smart, beautiful, independent woman.
But instead, she decided to settle for this kind of life where she can never actually really be fully honest with herself or others or feel a sense of independence and freedom, because it's like she's always compromised. The episode ends with the song Little Bird by Annie Lennox. So that adds sort of to the overall theme.
Well, the beast could kill. That one certainly would.
Could have called you Ichabod Crane.
Cranes are a type of large bird with long legs and necks. They're often considered the world's tallest flying birds. Ichabod Crane is a fictional character in the Legends of Sleepy Hollow. And guess who he runs into? The Headless Horseman.
Cool, the guardian angel.
Sometimes I'll think to myself, maybe I'm looking a little too deeply into this Sopranos stuff. But then I watched Seven Souls montage. For the purposes of this video, let's consider two of those souls. Ku, the guardian angel. He, she, or it is third man out, depicted as flying away across a full moon, a bird with luminous wings and head of light.
I gave them to you.
And then we have Ba, the heart, often treacherous. This is a hawk's body with your face on it, shrunk down to the size of a fist. Well, we remember already calling Tony a hawk. But what about Ray Curto, the person shown in the montage? I know he's a rat, but I guess you're not limited to being just one animal.
All about it, real shadows of the indignant desert birds.